Gentlemen, it is with the greatest level of concern for public welfare that I bring this proposal before you. As you know, Project Sanguine has caused a slight slip, the knowledge of which I believe would be dangerous to the populace. I believe that in this case, it is our duty to protect the public from what they should not see.
Project Sanguine, one of the most tangible leads we've obtained thus far in uncovering the mysteries of Ernest W., the ADPA, and the confiscated tapes. Project Sanguine is the first lead we have that is verifiable by mainstream search engines, provided Ernest is referring to the same Project Sanguine. A simple Google search bears results of a Project Sanguine conducted in 1968. All sources corroborate that the project took place in Clam Lake, Wisconsin. This is our first lead tying any component of the ADPA to a specific geographical location. Whether there is any correlation between Secret Handshake's roots in Wisconsin and Ernest's apparent ties to a project conducted in Wisconsin is not yet clear at this time. According to various sources, Project Sanguine was a project conducted by the U.S. Navy attempting to develop an unprecedented submarine communication system using ELF, or extreme low-frequency waves.
Project Sanguine is one of those pieces of military history where you look back and you just have to laugh. You say, what on earth were they thinking? We're talking about a project that would require an insane amount of infrastructure, especially for 1968. A giant antenna covering 2/5 of the state of Wisconsin, aside from being simply goofy, it's simply hard to fathom.
You see, Project Sanguine at this point, it's a mostly forgotten piece of military history, and it certainly wasn't a bad idea. I mean, one of the downsides of using submarines, especially at the time, was that there wasn't a lot of communication. It was limited. But the idea of developing a more streamlined communication system, this, in and of itself, is a great idea. It's just that Project Sanguine lacked the infrastructure and planning necessary to be successful.
By all accounts, Project Sanguine appears to have been an idealized military project, the failure of which was easy to predict from the beginning. But with such public knowledge of this project, both during its occurrence and afterwards, it appears that nothing was done to cover it up. It begs the question, what was the impetus to cover up this failed project? Perhaps more importantly, what was Ernest's involvement?
ELF waves pose very little threat to human health. As the name suggests, it's an extremely low level of energy. So there's no real concern of radiation poisoning or anything like that. It was absolutely an unrealistic project, but not one that would lead to any real or negative consequences. The only real controversy around it was the protests.
Project Sanguine is one of those strange cases of cultural amnesia. Because as little known as it is now, at the time it wasn't without its controversy. The actual content of the project doesn't seem like cause for uproar, but I mean, consider the fact that this was in 1968.
Anti-war demonstrators protest U.S. involvement in the Vietnam War in mass marches, rallies, and demonstrations.
The anti-war movement is really climbing at this point, and now you have this major military project uprooting a small Midwest town.
Still, however, it would appear that the anti-war activists' desire was satisfied when Project Sanguine officially ceased, though the exact date of cancellation is not clear. This only furthers the question: why cover it up? With no cooperation from the U.S. Navy, we are once again enlisting the skills of Dr. Lowenstein, and have asked her to unearth any and all documentation pertaining to Project Sanguine.
Finding documentation on Project Sanguine isn't the difficult part. One basic archival search under the keyword Project Sanguine and a number of items arise. Mainly newspaper articles, periodicals, and the like, conveying the same basic information we already know about Project Sanguine. There was one audio file that was a little unsettling. It's definitely creepy, but as far as I can tell, it's just low-frequency radio activity, which is exactly what you'd expect, given the nature of the project. The link that's still missing is how Ernest W. connects to Project Sanguine.
Gentlemen, it is with the greatest level of concern for public welfare that I bring this proposal before you. As you know, Project Sanguine has caused a slight slip, the knowledge of which I believe would be dangerous to the populace. I believe that in this case, it is our duty to protect the public from what they should not see. Project Sanguine has caused a slight slip. Gentlemen, it is with the greatest level of
So this is a new
concern
audio
for
file you
public
found?
welfare
Yes.
that I bring this proposal before you. As you know,
Who's he talking to?
Project Sanguine has caused a
We're not
slight
sure.
slip, the knowledge of which I believe would be
Who is
dangerous
that?
to the populace.
Ernest W.
I believe that in this case, it is our duty to protect the public
So,
from what they should not
It
see.
sounds like maybe he's addressing some sort of a board or something. It's possible that it's military, but it's difficult for me to determine who he's talking to without knowing his job or position. Usually that would be a giveaway too, is you normally address rank somewhere in there whenever you're addressing someone, so that would be an indicator for me, at least, if there was something like that just from audio. It's hard to determine, but I'm not ruling it out.
Nothing about Project Sanguine seems controversial. It's publicly known with verifiable data from trustworthy sources, yet there remains the mystery of why Ernest proposed to cover it up when seemingly there was nothing to hide. Unless, of course, the story we've been told about Project Sanguine, the submarine communication system, is itself the cover-up. Investigating Clam Lake on the internet, we find that it is a census-designated place in Ashland County, Wisconsin. On the town's website is a Contact Us page, but clicking on it leads to a page which simply says, "Please contact individual businesses directly." Our team instead chose to pursue our inquiry at the county level, navigating to the Ashland County website. Because Clam Lake's population is unincorporated, it is not assigned to a specific aldermanic district. With this in mind, we decided to reach out to Michael Danner, Assistant District Attorney. Our team reached out to him via email asking about the history of Project Sanguine in Clam Lake. We received a fast response saying,
Hello, thank you for your inquiry. You may be interested to know that Project Sanguine did not actually take place in Clam Lake. I'd rather not put too much in writing, but I'd be happy to sit down with you, even with your documentary crew, to explain more.
We of course accepted Michael's offer. 2 days later, we received another message from Michael saying,
Hello, it appears I provided you with some misinformation. Project Sanguine did take place in Clam Lake. Unfortunately, Thursday is no longer a fit for my schedule. Michael?
What caused this sudden shift? In the first email, he says Project Sanguine did not take place in Clam Lake, only to correct himself and say that it did in his next message. This does not seem like a simple misunderstanding on his part.
I'm inclined to believe that Michael was letting us in on something when he said that Project Sanguine didn't take place in Clam Lake. That just doesn't seem like something you get wrong if you're serving in a government position. So, following the possibility that Project Sanguine did not take place in Clam Lake, it inspired me to change my strategy a little bit. I have a tool that allows me to search for eradicated or erased documentation. Now, it's not a perfect system, and it requires a lot more time as it's a much deeper archival dig, but I decided to run such a search on Project Sanguine. It's not guaranteed to bear any results because it means that there has to be a recorded copy of the documentation somewhere, if it even exists at all. I honestly didn't expect to find much, and I didn't, but I did find one thing.
Nowadays, the news gets edited all the time. Everything's digital, so I mean, you can rewrite and push out live updates as often as you want. I mean, take any given article online, and you'll probably see that there's a date on which it was edited.
I was able to locate just one document that makes very brief mention of Project Sanguine, but doesn't appear to be directly related to Ernest. It's quite a simple document, issued by a publication called the Ashland Press. It's a document called a Media Redaction Renewal Form, which I've never seen before, but it seems to outline the renewal of a previous agreement between two parties, one being the Ashland Press, to remove certain articles, keywords, or phrases from all historical records. This document doesn't specify what the removed keyword is, but instead references to an Appendix B for those details. I haven't yet been able to locate this appendix. We can, however, see the signature from one David Gagne at the Ashland Press, and the other simply signed B. Allen.
B. Allen, a last name of great significance to anyone who listened to Secret Handshake's dramatized recreations of the tapes.
I'm Dr. Allen. I work for the ADPA, the Anomaly Defense and Protection Agency.